Match preview: Burnley versus West Ham. The game that I think most West Ham fans are generally a little bit anxious about because of Burnley's form and where they are in the league. Look, if a player hasn't scored in about 100 games, right, enter West Ham, he'll score a hat-trick. And we've seen that before. We've seen it with teams that are struggling. West Ham just seems to be the gift that comes along. So I think everyone can be forgiven for feeling a little bit of that. I certainly have been anyway this week, sort of going into it. A lot of people have been saying to me, "Oh, Burnley, yeah, you'll be all right at 3 points." And you kind of think, yeah, we should. But yeah, that's been in the back of my mind. But it's a big game. Let's make no mistake. It is a big game because it's one of those that gives West Ham the opportunity to get some valuable points on the board, to keep pushing. You know, if teams below, especially teams that are struggling, West Ham home and away have got to be beating them. So pressure's on a little bit here. We've got to get a result. But I don't know. It's hard to be but brimming with confidence at the moment because obviously we haven't been exceptional this season. You know, we've had a bad run of form, but considering the fact that we're coming off the back of a couple of decent results against Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest before the international break, you'd like to think that we're going into this with our tails up a little bit. And of course, it leads us into a couple of other games as well. We've got Baca Topola on Thursday, then we've got Crystal Palace on Sunday. I mean, these are 3 games that West Ham realistically can get results at and can get maximum points. So, big start of a big week, you feel, for West Ham, especially over our hectic winter schedule. But let's talk about Burnley. Let's talk about Burnley before we go into West Ham. I'll be honest, I'm a bit disappointed actually in Burnley this season. I think the neutral would be in terms of what we saw last season in the Championship. Really impressed with them. I mean, I thought that Vincent Kompany did an exceptional job coming into that football club. Totally changed the philosophy of it. You know, if you think of Burnley, especially as a Premier League outfit, of how they did very well. I'm not knocking them at all. I think they've done remarkably well the last few years as a football club. Of course, they got relegated, but they were in the Premier League for a long time. They've got, top half finish. They got into Europe. They did really well. Sean Dyche did a remarkable job at Burnley. But to think that they went down the Championship and basically just rebranded the whole club and completely changed their philosophy of play, the recruitment, the sort of players they had at the club. I think it's really commendable. And, what a season they had in the Championship. So I think it's fair to say that their Premier League venture so far has been disappointing. I was expecting a bit more. I was expecting quite a bounce from them this season. I was expecting that momentum that you get from promotion. We had it, I remember when we came up under Alan Pardew, we came up via the playoffs. I think we beat Preston, didn't we? Bobby Zamora scored. We came up that season, and we finished 9th in the Premier League. We got to the FA Cup final. I kind of had that feeling Burnley would be similar. They would have that momentum, that run in the Premier League, but it just hasn't happened. They've really struggled. But I'm not discrediting them in terms of what they've done. I think Vincent Kompany's still an excellent manager, and I think they're done really, really well. But if they're going to survive, it's crunch time for them now. They've got to start getting some results because to be on 4 points at this stage of the season is bad. But as I've said, they're a young side, though. You look at that team. I think they're the youngest in the Premier League. I believe. I'm sure I saw a statistics to suggest that they are the youngest as an average, which I think shows when you watch Burnley. They look quite naive for the Premier League. When we talk about the gulf of difference between the Championship and the Premier League, I always find that the big difference is that it's ruthless in the Premier League. Like mistakes, you're just punished all the time. The Championship, you can get away with it a little bit because of the quality. Just the depth of quality in the Premier League is so vast, and the amount of top draw players we've got. They just don't. They're unforgiving. They get a sniff of goal, and the reality is they're probably going to take it. And I just think that Burnley are suffering from that a little bit. That they're trying ideas out. They're trying to play their way, which I really respect. Really respect. I like the fact they're saying, no, this is how we want to play our football. We like to play football on the ground. We play out from the back. We play nice football. I really like that, and I like the young philosophy as well. Getting the players that are going to build a side. I'm all for that. But I do think it comes at a price sometimes as well. When you're playing against the likes of Premier League teams, I mean, and there's a lot of them. A lot of, when I say Premier League, very good sides that will punish you. And I just think that's where they've suffered this season. And their home form has been shocking. I think it's 6 defeats, isn't it, out of 6? So really poor. So And I just think that they're a side that suffer because of that a little bit. I think that's caught them out. Vincent Kompany, to his credit, though, when he's been questioned about that and his style, is he going to change it? And he's refuted that. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to change our way. We want to play the way that we believe in. I'm all for that to an extent. You see, so if I was a Burnley fan, and I'm Burnley fans watching this, I'm not criticising the club at all. I'm high them in high regard of what they've done. But I would be a little bit frustrated. I've got to be honest, because I'd be thinking to myself, yeah, it's great to be playing that way, but I think sometimes you need to just be a bit clever as well. Just think to yourself, look, we're going to have to be a bit smart and to try and get some points, because they need points now. Because if they carry on the way they're going, of course, they're going to get relegated. I genuinely think they're going to anyway. I think looking at the way the league's shaping up already this season, I think they're going to really struggle. They're going to have to turn things around fast. Because dare I say it, they'll look at the West Ham fixture on paper and see this possibly as an opportunity. That's not to suggest that West Ham are a walkover or anything like that, but they may see a team that have struggled a bit of late, struggled for form. Our last away game, Brentford, we were 2-1 up, ended up losing 3-2. Really poor performance, especially the second half. There'll be a bit of encouragement from that, I feel. And if they're going to start getting some points, they need to do it. So I think West Ham are going to be up against it today. I think Burnley will give West Ham a serious game. I do not think they're just going to roll over at all. I think it's going to be an interesting one. However, with that in mind, and when I was doing this preview and looking at their statistics and looking at some highlights of Burnley, in terms of how they concede goals, I think that might play into West Ham's hands if that's their mindset. If they're going into this game thinking we've got to win, we've got to get the 3 points, and this is a team that we can beat, I'd like to think actually that's how they will go into this game, because I think that's where they could be at their weakest, because I think West Ham can counter-attack very well against a side like this. So in terms of the manager, Vincent Kompany, as I've said, I really rate him. A manager I think is going to do well in his career. I think he's proving that he's a very astute guy. He did very well last season, as I've said. I really hope they stick with him. I think they will. I'd be really gutted for him and the club, actually, if they were to part ways at some stage this season. I think it's sometimes a kind of given a little bit in terms of certain clubs because of their desperation to stay in the top flight. And I think that Vincent Kompany could find himself a little bit under pressure at some stage just because of that, because whether the owners will think, look, we really want to stay in the Premier League now and we're not getting enough points, they might want to go down that path. I just hope they don't. I really hope they don't. I really hope that even if they have a really poor season overall points-wise and get relegated, they stick with him, because you look at their side and how young it is and what they're trying to build. I think that is a side for the future. It's not necessarily a Premier League side yet. Well, I don't think it is, personally. I've not seen enough of them to make me think this is a side that can really stay up at the moment. I think they're going to, if they are going to stay up, it's going to be for the skin of their teeth. And as I've said, they've really got to start getting some points on the board, because you look at the teams around them and their other teams are looking stronger. Bournemouth are looking stronger. Luton have picked up some decent results recently and put in some good performances. Everton are far stronger than them. So they're going to really struggle. I think they are going to struggle to survive this season. I just think that's a given now. I think it's obvious. You only got to look at the points tally. I mean, 4 from, was it 12 games? That is pretty shocking. But as I've said, I really do hope they stick to the manager now. They've lost all of their home games. All of their 6 home games so far they have lost, which, to be honest with you, worries me. It really does, because they're due a bloody win. Burnley are due a win. And as I've said, I think they will go into this with a bit of I don't know, not to say confidence, but there maybe one eye thinking this is probably a game we can get something at. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. West Ham haven't been great this season. We know we haven't. We started pretty well. We've really tailed off. I know with the last couple of results, we've got a couple of wins against Olympiacos and Nottingham Forest, but even Forest was tough. We had to work for that, really hard, grind that one out. So that actually worries me a little bit, that statistic, because I just do think, enter West Ham mode, but let's wait and see. Before we go to West Ham, though, a couple of players I want to talk about from Burnley. Of course, Josh Cullen. I love him. I really respect Josh Cullen and everything he's done. I mean, I loved him at West Ham, to be honest. He did well, and it's always great to see an academy player. I like to see an academy player go on and prove himself, you know what I mean? And he's been let go by West Ham, rightly or wrongly, whatever. I mean, I personally look back and think it was a mistake. overall, because he just would have fitted in well at West Ham. I'm not saying he would have been an exceptional first team starter, but I think he'd have been a good squad player to have at West Ham. He's proven that. He went abroad, did well, and elect, wasn't it, and did a great job. He's coming to Burnley, been a consistent player for them. I'm just really, really pleased for him as a guy, and good luck to him. It's just great to see him in the Premier League. It really is. It's nice to see players go on and achieve things and do well. And it's just that West Ham's lost. We were probably a bit too soon to draw a line under him and say, yeah, no, not quite for us. But yeah, there you go. As I say, I've nothing but respect for him, and I really hope he continues to do really well and his career to flourish. Josh Brownhill is a player I really like as well, from Burnley. I think he's a decent player. He seems to be one of their kind of key cogs, you feel, in that Burnley side. I think without him, they really would struggle. I think he's kind of a little bit of a dictator on the game for them. And yeah, again, another player you look at with their squad, and they've got a very young squad and some very good players, but I just think he kind of stands out for me as a decent. He comes across like a Premier League player, actually, for me, Brownhill. I think he could do a job at a fair few clubs. I do rate him. He's a good player. And obviously, their striker, Lyle Foster, who's actually scored 3 goals already this season. He's their top goal scorer. He's got a couple of assists as well. Decent young player. I think, again, these are sort of players I look at and think, he's not the finished article yet. Far from it. And I think, I actually think there's a few of these players in that Burnley side, regardless whether they stay up or not, this season's done them with a world of good, a bit of experience to play top level football. So, if I put in like a sort of what I imagine would happen, a sort of prediction in my mind, if they, let's just say they get relegated, they stick with Vincent Kompany, and they keep the core of that side together, which I think they would anyway, because as I've said, I don't see an abundance of Premier League players there as such. I see like young up and coming players that probably will be Premier League players. So you'd imagine they'd probably hang on to pretty much all the side. And then again, I think they would comfortably deal with the Championship again. And then if they went down and then come back up again, I just think the experience of being here before, they'd know it a bit better. They'd be stronger, bigger guys, a bit older, wiser. And I think then you might have a bit more of a Premier League side in your hands. And I think Lyle Foster's one of those, really. I think he's a player that if they can sort of keep him at the club, I think he could do good things. I think he's a good player. And as I say, he's not done too bad so far this season in a struggling side, which I think says a lot. On to West Ham then. As I say, we're going to this on the back of 2 wins, which was massively needed. Really important that we got those results, because we were obviously on a very low moment. If we'd lost to Nottingham Forest, let's be honest, we were losing in the second half, 2-1. Obviously, we turned it around pretty quick. But let's just say we'd lost that game, I think we could have gone down to 16th, if I'm right in thinking. We're 9th at the moment. So it shows how tight the league is. It also above us as well. I mean, literally, I think a couple of wins and we could be, looking very, very comfortable in terms of a league position, in a strong position at this stage of the year and the season. So it is tight. So it was very important that West Ham got those 3 points against Forest, of course, on the Sunday before we broke up for the international break. And then, of course, you've got the win against Olympiacos. I think another home win. It wasn't the most attractive game in the world, but again, a win to win, and it was important. I feel like we needed that. We needed that boost before we went into this international break. It's not been the best, though, is it? This international break. Let's be honest, it's been actually pretty disastrous. When you think of West Ham, it's been quite eventful. I mean, you look at Vladimir Soufal, obviously sent home from the Czech Republic for going out on the piss. It doesn't really affect West Ham. It's not ideal. A bit. Possibly, I don't know whether it's a bit awkward between him and Souček, because Souček's the captain, don't forget, of the Czech Republic. It'd be interesting to know what the conversations were had, because Souček did talk about it, actually. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's going to be overly angry and upset with him for long, but he clearly affected, because he did mention he was clearly affected by it, because he said, we're a team here. It wasn't great, and he didn't know much about it. He was really disappointed. So it's, which you'd expect it from a captain anyway, but it's just not great. But as a West Ham point of view, I don't think it has much bearings on the whole situation at all. Of course, then we've got the injuries, which have been, interesting to say the least. I mean, we've got a bit of an update on those. Antonio, there was a lot of talk that he was going to be out for a year, wasn't it? 9 months, a year. He'd done his knee and all this. I really want to emphasise that it's one of those that and I've learned this from sort of once I've started doing this stuff for the West Ham way and what have you, is that you really just sometimes need to just wait for the news, because the amount of rubbish you get told and people jump and get all excited about it, it can be really quite frustrating actually at times, because even I'm for one, I'll believe it myself. You know what I mean? I'm reading this and I'm saying Antonio's out for 9 months, serious knee injury, all this sort of stuff. You're thinking, oh God, this is all we need. You know what I mean? But it's not. It wasn't. I mean, we always have to wait. I was advised to wait until the news was confirmed. Anyway, it doesn't look like it's too serious. In fact, David Moyes has already come out and said that Antonio could be back within a fortnight. So no, it doesn't sound like there's anything to be too concerned about there. But it is an injury to Antonio nonetheless, which means he'll miss this game. And to be honest with you, it goes back to a video I did not too long ago about Antonio and the frustration of him with this Jamaica stuff. It still frustrates me, I've got to be honest, because I just think it's causing a hindrance for West Ham, and I think this international break proved it. But it is what it is. Look, I'm not here to talk about that. Jared Bowen, of course, was touch and go and still is, I believe. But from what I understand, I think he'll play. I think we've heard pretty positive reports out of the fact that it's not serious. I understand that he didn't train on Thursday. I think he may well have trained on Friday. My gut says he'll play. I mean, I'll do the team in a minute, what I think is going to be the team, what I would pick anyway. But my gut feeling is that Bowen will be available today. Whether he's not, he'll start, I'm not sure. But I do believe he will be involved some capacity. Mohamed Kudus, of course, as well, is another doubt. Away in international duty, he had to fly bloody miles. I mean, I think the long old flight when he was going to play for Ghana. Of course, he didn't. He came off injured, didn't he? No. It was that he hurt his back in training. He complained of a back complaint. He then came on as a substitute. So I don't think it's anything. Again, I don't think it's anything serious, but it's just not very ideal that we've got a few little niggles and problems in the side. But it is football, and that's what you get. It's life. Got to deal with that. That's just part and parcel of it. Especially when you've got a team that's got full of internationals. That's what we want to be. We want to be a top side. Unfortunately, that's the drawback, isn't it? That you get these international breaks, and pretty much your whole squad goes off to play. So and you're always keeping your fingers crossed. But unfortunately, this time round, this international break hasn't gone great because we've got a few injuries to deal with. But it is what it is. And also bearing in mind, I've got to be honest, the last international break we had, although we came back without any injuries, it was a terrible knock to our momentum, wasn't it? We really lost our form. So we really do not want that to happen this time round. I'm not saying we were in great form before this, but it'd be nice to kick on, wouldn't it? To come back for the international break, get 3 points on the board, just give that lift, and then we can get up and running. Because I don't believe now we have an international break until February, I think. So that's good. But it means we've got a crunch run of games. Of course, we've got European football as well. So, yeah, it's a big run, and it'd be nice to kick off with a decent result. And let's be honest, playing a team at the bottom of the league, then we need to take advantage of it. As I said earlier regarding Burnley, I think when you look at the way that they play and Vincent Kompany's philosophy, which I really like and really respect, I think it will actually play into West Ham's hands if that is their mindset today, which I think it will be. I think their mindset will be, if I'm just imagining here, I'm a fly on the wall in their training ground. I imagine they're going to try and attack West Ham. They want to win this game. I don't think Vincent Kompany's going to set up to play a low block and defend the game and play counter. I just don't think he will. I don't think that's how Burnley play. They're at home. He'll want to get a win. So, and of course, I've said 4 points out of 12 games is terrible. They're going to need 3 points out of this, really. They've got to start getting some points. So, with that in mind, they're going to need to start getting some goals. These are factors that I think actually play into our hands. I really do. It's actually giving me more confidence. The fact that they need the result, I think that we can take advantage of that and exploit that really, and that's what I'm hoping will be the case. Of course, West Ham's situation, it depends who plays, but my gut feeling is with or without Jared Bowen, we should be winning this game. That's how I feel. That's not no discredit to Burnley. This week, I've actually been feeling a little bit anxious about the game, purely on the basis that they've, not won a game at home all season. They're on 4 points, and you just think, oh, this is typical West Ham banana skin moment. You just know that. How many times have West Ham done that? How many times have West Ham come to the rescue of top sides and come in and put in a poor performance, and they go and get the win they desperately needed, or the player got the goal that he desperately needed, etc., etc. But building up to this preview, obviously I had to do a fair bit of planning and looking into Burnley, and I've seen them a couple of times this season already, and really just looking at West Ham, I've got to be honest, looking at our squad, I just think we've got too much. it just gives me confidence. And as I say, in the way that they play, it just gives me confidence. I really do think that's going to be the shift. And it's West Ham have to take advantage today. We really do. We cannot afford to drop points against sides that are down the bottom of the league. We can't. If we want to be considered a side that's chasing top 6 football this season, then you can't be dropping points against sides like Burnley, I'm afraid. It's just we can't do. Another note I want to make as well before this is Divine Mabama. These are games, he needs to be involved. I've kind of got a bit exhausted with this whole David Moyes situation regarding playing younger players. It is becoming quite a draining subject and quite a sore one, actually. He needs to start playing these players. Divine Mabama, it's come out, as clearly wants to stay at West Ham, okay? He's not interested in money and all that kind of stuff. He just wants to be playing football. We've got an injury to Antonio now for the next couple of weeks. Get him involved in this side. Start giving him a chance. I'm not suggesting that he has to start the game, but I'll come to that in a minute, but he could well do. And if there's an option for him to start, then he should be. Danny Ings can't be the next in line. He can't be. He just can't be. I know that he bloody is for David Moyes, but he can't be, really. I mean, it's got to start. The club have got to start putting a bit of pressure on Moyes, really, and saying, look, we want to keep these players. You've got to start playing them. That's where Mabama's frustration is. And I want to see him in the squad today, and I want to see him out there. I want to see him get an opportunity. And for me, there's an opportunity for him to start if other factors are at play. So let's go into the team and prediction now. As always, we're going to give away an item from our shop. So we've got some mugs, got bits and pieces on there. I'll let you know what we're going to do. So all you got to do is put your team down, put your prediction down, and the winner goes into a draw, and then we'll pick you out, and we'll send you an item from our shop, free of charge, of course, as a prize. This is my team. I'm going for Areola in goal. Back four, I'm going to go same old. I'm going to go safe here. I'm going to play Soufal at right back. As long as he's over his hangover. Soufal, Zuma, Agurd, and Emerson. I want to keep some consistency there. Mavropanos, I was contemplating, but no, I just want to see our standard. I think that's going to be important today. And my gut feeling says that's what we will see. Edson Alvarez, a defensive midfield, standing in front of the defence, of course, as usual. He had a good international break. He scored a winner for Mexico. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was brilliant to see him celebrate like he did. He was, chuffed, and yeah, it's brilliant. Good player for us. He's vital. I'm playing Souček alongside him today. I think that we want a bit of height. I want to see, and I actually think they pair quite well. I think the way that Alvarez plays allows Souček to go forward. I just think it's a good pairing. So I'm going to play, rather than play Ward-Prowse next to Alvarez, I'm going to play Souček. I'm going to play Ward-Prowse more advanced in the middle. I want him to start distributing the ball and dictating play a bit. And I miss him being a bit more involved at the higher end of the pitch. Start of the season, he was banging the goals in. He always seemed to be there. At the moment, he's been playing too deep. And I just want to see him being given more of an advanced role. So I want to see him take that kind of number 10 role today, play midfield, but just and have Souček and Alvarez sort of protecting. As I say, Souček can advance as well a little bit more, but I think Ward-Prowse would be vital there. I'd like to see him distribute the ball out a little bit more, to the wings. So that's what I'm going for. Now, this is on the basis that Bowen is fit and Kudus is fit. I'm playing Kudus out on the right, Bowen through the middle, and Paqueta on the left. And I would be saying to these three that, you need to maneuver around. I really think we need to confuse defences with our front three. I think it's important. And that for me is the best team for today. Now, I will say, if Kudus is unavailable and if Jarrod Bowen is unavailable, I'm obviously going to bring two more players in. The two I'm going to bring in is Divine Mabama to play through the middle. I don't want to see Danny Ings playing. I do not want to see Danny Ings playing anymore. He doesn't fit our system. I'm not having a go at Danny Ings, by the way. I actually feel really sorry for him. He's come to this football club. Don't get me wrong, he's on a bloody high wage, so I'm not, I'm sure that'll cushion the blow a little bit. But I do feel for him. He's come to West Ham and it just hasn't worked still. It doesn't fit the system. Stupid signing for West Ham, really, overall. And he's not offering us anything. He doesn't offer anything. So what's the point? Give Mabama a chance now. Let him give him a chance. Over the next 2 weeks, right? Let's say 2 to 3 weeks while Antonio's injured. Give Mabama that free. Say, this is now your opportunity to show me that you are going to be a Premier League striker. You are going to be West Ham's leading man soon. I'm sure he'll grab it. What's the point in playing Danny Ings, who West Ham are dying to get rid of, really? He don't want to be here. I can't imagine he wants to be at West Ham. He must be desperate to move on. I'm sure that we'll try and flog him in January, but I mean, whether we're not going to get rid of him for those wages. I think we're paying 120 a week. Who's going to bloody pay that? Ridiculous. But sorry, I'm digressing here. But Mabama for me needs to be involved 100%. So yeah, that's my feeling on that in terms of if Bowen's injured, that's what I'll be doing. And if Kudus is injured, then I want to see Max Cornet playing. Another player that I've become very frustrated with, not necessarily with him, but just the situation. I put up a tweet a few days ago, and it was clips of him playing for Burnley and some of his goals that he scored for them. Some of them brilliant, and I actually forgot what a good player is, and I'm getting a bit fed up with it. We've paid all this money for him, and I'm not saying we paid an absolute fortune. We paid 17 million, I think it was, for him, and we're not utilising him. What's the point? You know what I mean? It just feels like we're just wasting our time here. Like, give the guy a chance. And he's, African Cup of Nations is coming up in the new year. He wants to be involved in that. He's not going to be, is he? So no. These are players I want to start seeing being integrated. There's no point in keep putting Fornals and Ings involved. Fornals is. Clearly he's going to be on his way soon. I mean, I'm don't get me wrong. I love Pablo Fornals, lovely guy, and I still think he can do a job for West Ham. But I just want to see a bit more oomph, a bit more pace, a bit more excitement. Let's do something different. Stop just playing same old, with Moyes. And so that would be my feeling. Anyway, so just to recap my team. But now I've had my moan. Areola in goal, Soufal, Zuma, Agurd, Emerson, Alvarez and Souček in midfield, Ward-Prowse playing more advanced ahead of them, Bowen up front, Kudus on the right, and Paqueta out on the left. And I'm going to go for my predictions today. Now, this has been an interesting one because I've been, as I've said, a little bit anxious about this game. But now I've got my head screwed on a little bit more. I'm thinking a bit more factual. We're looking at the statistics of the game and looking at the lineups and weighing it all up. I think West Ham will win this game. I do think we're going to win. I'm going to go 2-0 West Ham. So please put your predictions in. Also, before we wrap this up, Christmas jumper is available. Should have done it at the beginning of the video. Forgot all about it. It's available for 28 quid on our shop. I put the link below. I'll tell you what, I really like this jumper. I really like it. In fact, I'm going out on Thursday for a Christmas get-together. Staying sober, of course, as I'm off the booze. Which I'm still really looking forward to it. And I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear my Christmas jumper down the pub. And I'm really looking forward to it. See some of my mates. So, yeah, that's the plan. Look, get your predictions in. As I've said, you enter the prize draw, but big game today. And I think if we get this right, I think if we can just capitalise on the fact they desperately need a win, I think we can get a result over the line. So yeah, come on, you Irons.